today with Morgan, and I am so excited to share about behavior plans. I feel like there is so much information that we get as special education teachers that is just sometimes scary to be like, "Oh, now I have to create a behavior plan or start with an FBA and go through that process by yourself. Maybe you don't have a behavior specialist in your school, so you're doing it all by yourself. I know I did for a couple years too. So Morgan's here to share a little bit more about tips and tricks and just things that are really going to help you in the classroom as a special education teacher for those behavior specific things. So Morgan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody about who you are and kind of what's brought you to this field.
All right, thank you so much for having me. I'm Morgan Van Diepen. I'm a BCBA and I'm the co-founder, co-author of ABA Visualized. And that started about 5 years ago with publishing our main book, the ABA Visualized Guidebook. We actually put on the cover for parents and teachers because we really wanted to come up with a way to provide approachable resources
Hmm.
for parents and teachers, those that are responsible for doing the behavior plans, and felt that that was like a huge gap. And so we kind of did this innovative approach of teaching everything through visuals. So that's been my mission as a BCBA. Now that's my full-time role. I used to work a lot in schools and in homes, and now I'm really doing more content creation and still consulting and doing professional developments with districts around the country.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I've read your book a couple times and I do love the visual aspect of it because sometimes just breaking down those simple things like prompting or token economies is really helpful just to see what that could look like and how it really does transpire into the classrooms. So yeah, it's been really good to see some of those visuals, especially when I work with paraprofessionals who maybe don't have the background. So yeah, if you haven't checked out the book, I will leave the link below so that you can make sure to grab that for yourself.
Thanks. And the whole thing is completely jargon free. So even though I'm a BCBA and a behavior expert, the book is intended for anyone of any knowledge level of behavior skills to be able to pick it up and know what to do.
Yeah, I love that too, because even like the acronyms like is spelled out correctly of like what it actually is, especially if it's somebody who's not familiar with the field. So yeah, it's super awesome. I know you've been doing some research lately about people who write IEPs and write behavior plans, specifically the behavior intervention plans. Can you tell us about why you started this research?
Yes. So a little bit more of a background. Like I said, I'm the BCBA. My husband is the other part of the company, and he's a data visualization designer and has a lot of experience with infographics. So
Mm.
that's kind of how our company came together, the melding of our two expertise. And we saw the success with our books of how helpful it was for people to have the visual breakdown, the step by step of what these strategies look like, the approachable language, but I was still seeing in my own experience and collaborating with others this huge need to really improve on behavior plans specifically. I was thinking I was spending so much time putting all this effort into writing a plan and then seeing that it's just kind of going in a desk, never used, or parents are like,
Mhm.
I didn't even know I had one.
Yeah.
And really seeing the stressors from the behavior expert side. A lot of new BCBAs are not feeling very capable and confident in this skill set, which is an essential part of our role. And then on the other side, the implementers, the parents and the teachers and the paraprofessionals are not feeling confident and prepared to manage challenging behaviors in their classrooms or at homes. So we really wanted to see if we could apply that visual approach to behavior plans. So that's what we've been researching and surveying hundreds of people, behavior experts, and all the different stakeholders to kind of hear what other people's experiences are and what those kind of common challenges that people are experiencing.
Yeah, I love that because it is. Visuals are for adults too, not just for students. So yes, once you put a behavior plan in place, it is so helpful to have some type of infographic or visual to be like, all right, if this, then this, or here's a toolkit of ideas that you can use to support this student. So yeah, I could totally see such impacts that could happen by just having a visual or something that is easily taken in versus reading through paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs of a behavior plan.
So that's everybody knows that visuals are helpful. So it's like, let's apply it to behavior plans and get rid of those multi-page, lengthy text, jargon-filled documents that no one is memorizing.
For sure. So you kind of briefly touched on this. Who did you survey? You said parents and teachers or just
We
teachers?
surveyed over 200 people, and that was a mix of behavior experts like BCBAs or school behavior specialists, and parents and teachers and paraprofessionals.
Okay.
And so each category, we had their own questions about the like rating your own confidence level. How prepared do you feel to respond to challenging behaviors? How many strategies can you name from your students'
Mhm.
behavior plans? And we then we kind of zoned in deeper and had 25 people really participate in like an ongoing pilot study where we first took their written behavior plans and then we visualized it for them and then gave it back to them and then interviewed the team before and after to see what changes were they found experiences for themselves, how did they see that the impact changed on their quality of care and their students or child's behaviors.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you took the extra step to actually show the visuals and be like, hey, now look at it. Now what are you taking from it? Now what is most meaningful? I feel like that can be so impactful just to see the differences in questions. So it sounds like it's a pretty lengthy process. How long did this process fully take you?
This was about 6 months. So that's definitely taking my psych background and really doing a formal study, having the baseline data and
Mm-hmm.
getting all those at first initial interviews. I met with every single person one-on-one, and then, like I said, taking their already created behavior plan, turning it into a visual BIP, and giving it back to the team to use, letting them use it, and then meeting with them again to get their feedback.
Cool. That's such a cool process. And I'm sure there's such really cool things that you could share with us. But let's try to keep it to a minimum because I know probably 200 people is a lot to hear from. What do you feel like was your biggest results, or what did you find from specifically talking to BCBAs? We'll start there.
Yeah, so I knew because I do BCBA supervision and I work a lot with mentoring also new BCBAs. I knew that in our field there was a lot of fear about not feeling confident writing behavior plans, but I was really surprised that all of the BCBAs that I talked with, even people who have been BCBAs for 4 or 5 years,
Mhm.
still felt unsure about the quality of their plans that they were doing.
Yeah.
Either it was something they didn't feel they had strong training in, or they weren't seeing as much buy-in and engagement from the parents and teachers they're trying to work with.
Hmm.
And so that was a huge piece that we saw the results that the confidence levels went up. Let me see, the BCBAs went up to 4.8 out of 5 confidence
Okay.
level. Originally it was only 3.4 out of 5.
Okay.
Uh, the parents and teachers reported having 39% more buy-in when talking about behavior plans. They had 36% higher rates of understanding what the plan is. And also their confidence levels went way up as well. So across
Very
the
cool.
board, on both sides, people are feeling more confident with the plan. And that's what it's all about, is feeling prepared to actually support the students and learners that we're all there for.
Yeah. And you said you surveyed paraprofessionals as well?
Yeah, and that was I wanted to definitely include them. They're such a valuable part
Yeah.
of the team, and often the paraprofessionals are the ones responsible for implementing the strategies on a daily basis. And
Hmm.
their confidence, their understanding went up as well. And one thing that teachers shared is that they really liked that the paraprofessionals asked more questions. Well, that was a little bit surprising to me.
Hmm.
That was something they were like, I loved when we gave them the visual plan. They had questions, they were critically thinking about the strategies, and it seemed so much more collaborative. And they had it printed out and they had it in their binders. Some classrooms hung it up on the wall. And so it really became more of a team effort and more of a collaborative experience rather than like, this is your individual responsibility as a task to memorize this. It was something that was more of a positive experience for them as well.
I love that. Because I can imagine like you, beforehand, without having a visual, maybe just saying like, "Oh, you need to do this thing when this happens." Um, the like having the visual, then they might know what to ask.
Yeah.
Whereas before they didn't know what kind of questions they should be asking or like what they're really looking for or how they really need to react to certain situations. So yeah, I think that's awesome that they're asking more questions and trying to get more involved because yes, you are totally right. 9 times out of 10, it's a paraprofessional that's trying to lead some type of intervention or thing that needs to happen. And the teacher's not with another student or not in the room or absent that day. So it does really feel collaborative when everybody's on board with the same thoughts
Yeah.
and ideas.
And we heard a lot because I will definitely say, and BCBAs have a reputation of using too much jargon and not being very approachable. I'm very aware of that. Something I'm trying to kind of counteract within our field.
For sure.
But within this, using these visuals and with people being able to just see the illustrations and understand it right away, because they're asking questions, we also got the feedback that they felt more open to ask questions. Whereas before, if people, parents and teachers and paras weren't understanding, they didn't know what to ask because it was so complicated. So
Mhm.
then you just say, okay, I got it. Yeah, I'll do it. And
Yeah.
now there's actually the understanding there. So that way you can have the space to understand what kind of questions to ask.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, all of this is so awesome to hear. I feel like I could go on and on for hours. Just tell me more about this process. But let's break it down a little bit. What of this was most surprising for you, or maybe of your team, when going through all this research of like the before and after? What was most surprising?
I think the part that I was already mentioning about how widespread this kind of imposter syndrome is in our
Mhm.
field, even for behavior experts, behavior specialists who have been experienced for a few years. One important note is in our field, 1/3 of all BCBAs have had their certification for 1 year or less. So we're a new field,
Mhm.
and so with that, there's a lot of professionals who are trying to take on this all their expertise that they have and teach the team, but
Right.
sometimes it's not coming off the right way. So we're hoping this resource is really helpful for that. Another huge piece that was very, in a positive way, surprising for me was when we interviewed parents, we heard a lot of feedback that usually there was typically in a dual parent household, one parent that was more involved. And I'm sure you see this in
Mhm.
IEP meetings as
Mhm.
well. And this allowed the other parent to easily jump in instead of feeling like they were behind because they don't know what's going on in that student's
Yeah.
progress for the past few years. One dad said that he printed it out and brought it to work and was like flipping through it on breaks. And he felt that it was a custom created manual for his child.
Oh.
And the mom said that he hadn't been participating in ABA or IEP process for 5 years, and now he was really excited about it. People were sharing the visuals with their babysitters and grandmas and this and the SLP at school and the OTs. So that was very, in a positive way, surprising because we didn't instruct anybody to do that. And so they just felt so excited about it and shared and got more people on board, which of course we all know is for the benefit of the student.
Yeah. I can think of so many families that I've worked with over the years that, yes, one parent was more involved than the other. And then when the other one would be involved, they'd ask questions that just seemed off because they didn't have all the information. So yeah, having a guide like this could be so helpful, just to continue to set them up for success at home and in the community. Like you said, even with a babysitter, so that the parents don't need to be there all the time. So, oh gosh,
Yeah,
all these
we
things.
want to
Love
make
it.
it easy for people to join in and like as low stress as possible.
Yeah, make all the copies, distribute to everybody,
Yeah.
bus
Yeah, the
drivers.
resources for everybody. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. All right, so it's a little bit off topic, but still kind of on the same thing. Obviously, you've written a lot of behavior plans over the years. Do you have any tips and tricks that you could share with my community of
Yeah.
behavior plan creation?
Yes, and so I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna share my screen because I've embedded this tip into our new program, which I can talk about
Great.
next. It's called BIP Visualized, but this is the biggest tip, whether you're using the program or not, you're just creating a behavior plan on your own. Okay, so let me share screen. The tip is instead of writing your behavior plans focused on the function, and I know this is like so bad to say as a BCBA, I'm like, ignore the function, not ignore it, not ignore the function.
Yeah.
Think about the team thinking to tell them when to do the strategies. So here you can see the behavior plan starts with when in this situation it's there's a non-preferred task or instruction, changes in schedule, unfamiliar environment or staff. I know that that's the function of escape, but
Yeah.
but I don't need to explain all the four functions to every single para, every single parent, the SLP, the OT, every person that's on part of the student's IEP team or in their home services. Instead, it's saying when you're giving a non-preferred task or instruction like homework, I want you to do, and then this is one of example of the visual strategies. Here's some preventative strategies to do. If it works and they follow the instruction, here's the reinforcement strategy.
Mhm.
Do. If it doesn't work and they have challenging behaviors, then here for this student, there's a behavior escalation plan. And so it's really thinking about taking the plan as a step-by-step situational guide rather than a list of recommended strategies.
Mhm.
Everything should be connected. And so I see a lot of behavior plans that are bullet point lists of 25, 30 strategies. No one is going to be able to memorize those. And there's a lot of questions on like, well, when do I do this one? What happens, if I do this one, it's kind of the opposite of this one, and
Mhm.
they don't really go together.
Yeah.
Again, whether you use our program or not, really thinking about starting with the win and then going from there. So
Mhm.
here's another, oh, it's here, another example of that. This one is just when giving instructions. I want you to use these strategies. Again, if it works, here's the reinforcement. If it doesn't work, you give an instruction and they throw their book at you. Here's what you can do.
Yep.
And so every behavior plan always starts with the win. And there might be two different wins for each student. So this student has a win of when you're giving instructions, this is what I want you to do. But when you're preoccupied, you're working with other students. So again, that's the function of attention.
Mhm.
Here's the plan for that. So
I
that's a
also
huge shift, and it really helps the whole team understand the plan so much better.
Yeah, and I love that you have some teaching strategies too to do it before this event happens, um,
Exactly. Good
that you
eye.
can really do it. I love that.
Yes, that's why that's not connected to the win because we should be teaching all the time. We say we want to teach when the students or learners are happy, relaxed, and engaged, so that
Mhm.
it's not during a triggering situation. You should be teaching all the time. So here in this student, they're teaching an AAC communication and just different skills, and then you want to reinforce those as well.
Awesome. And with this new tool, is there more examples? Like, because if I look at extinction, I know what it means, but not everybody knows what extinction means. Do you have more examples in this tool that can kind of share a little bit more of those?
Yeah, so this what I'm sharing my screen right now are finished ones that
Cool.
have been printed out. And so on the actual program where you can share this as a view only link. So let's say that I'm the BCBA, I make this plan and I send it to you, the teacher. This would be an online program and you can click on each strategy and it will pop up with our full step-by-step
Cool.
illustrations from our book. So here's the extinction one. And so that way it's not all on there. If you already know the strategy, then that's great. But if you want a refresher, you can click on it and you'll get the full step by step of how to do that strategy. And it will also be interactive in the sense of if you're hovering over here, the certain pathway will light up. That's really helpful when you are working with parents or maybe again the other service providers who are less
Mhm.
familiar with behavior strategies, or if you're collaborating with a general education teacher, so you can
Mhm.
kind of just focus in on one pathway at a time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Of course, I'll leave the link for ABA visualized and this new BIP visualized. I will leave the links below when it does come out. I know it's coming out very, very soon, so we're very
Yes,
excited.
we are developing it and we were hoping to have it launched soon. There is on the link that you put, we have a link for people to sign up to get on the early adopters list to get that
Awesome.
first launch.
That's fantastic. Anything else that you want to share with us before we sign off for today?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. And I followed you for a while, and I know how many great resources that you have. And I really just love that you open up your platform to have someone from outside of the field come in, because I'm very passionate and believe so strongly that collaboration is the best way to support our students. And I see so much value that the educators are bringing to the field. So thank you so much for allowing me to come on and join in with your community.
Yeah, no problem. Of course, that is also my vision with Better
Yeah.
Together. I definitely believe together is the better way to go. We have so much to share with the world, and one person just can't do it themselves. So, yeah, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.